Welcome back to session 3, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Can we start the session or shall we wait for this participant to get in?
Yes, sir. Let us wait for few minutes.
Okay. So good afternoon all. You are so many participants are in. So shall we start the session?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Uh, so coming to this session, we shall look into AWS related part. Um, there is nothing constraint like it should be AWS or any cloud specific cloud service, right? Because whatever we will be seeing here is generalized thing. Means you can run the same script on any machine. Means you can take a Google Cloud or Azure or AWS or DigitalOcean, any kind of service provider will be providing a simple uh, Ubuntu based or any Linux based machine, right? Those are virtual machines, you can say. So those machines can be configured to execute these scripts which we are writing, Python-based scripts, right? They should work as a HTTP servers or MQTT servers, right? Uh, so for that, uh, anyhow, already you have covered AWS IOT or something. So I thought you might be having AWS accounts. So if you have accounts, you can do it parallelly with me. Even if you're not having, it's not a complex thing. Simple, everything which is just in one button clicks. Right? So if you're getting this to AWS console management, you already have logged in some things. There into services, there are around 160 services provided by AWS. So the basic one is EC2, which is which will be provided say for uh, free of cost for 750 hours. So already there is a server instance running on it. Uh, so in this, I can add another one. Right. So here I ask to launch a service instance. In this, I will specifically choose a Ubuntu service. So Ubuntu, whatever the Raspberry Pi OS which we have is a Debian kernel, and this Ubuntu is also built on the same Debian kernel. So the commands whichever we are using to install software or whatever activities we are doing will be common. So we shall better choose the same server. The rest other type of servers, some services are not free of cost. So here you can observe that whether it is eligible to uh, no, if you able to see the screen, someone should ask, right? Okay. So here is AWS console management console. Now into this there are different services. In the services I'm going to EC2. Now in EC2 uh, we have instances, list of instances. So in this I'll try to launch another instance. Here we have Ubuntu 20.04, or I choose a bit older version, say 18.04, because older versions will be better stable than the latest one. So now this 16 is not eligible for free of cost, right? Because that is more stable compared to the latest current ongoing versions, right? So the same Ubuntu server, which is 18.4. Let's say select this, right? In this also you have different uh, type of servers you can choose, where this only is it the T2 micro instance is the only machine which is eligible for free of cost. Uh, so in this, there will be single CPU, 1 GB memory. Rest everything will be common. Okay. Speed and all those things that are not the major thing. Then, as a mere requirement, you can increase its CPUs and memory size. You can say RAM, right? Um, then there are other configurations. You can skip that and you can just directly review and launch it. Right now, by default, there is executive group. It is 422 is given an access. Right. So there, what I'll do is I'll just ask to launch this session. So it will ask, do you want to use the existing key pair or create a new one? I'll create a new one. Right. So here I'll FDP. FDP underscore. So this is the file which I want to download. So I'm downloading. It is automatically adding this extension as PEM. Right. So what I'll do is in system directory, or I'll click in a folder. Okay, server. And that what I say is insert importer. So this is a key which is generated for AWS activity. So if I just open a terminal, here I can see ls cd documents. In that we have the way down, and that I have server, and that we have AWS. Right. So here is our key file. So even if I make in browser, I do the same thing. Into documents, we have data. Then in that we have server AWS. This is the file, right? So even if you want, you can share this. So is there any possibility like you can share this key to everyone in this session? Hello, is everyone active? So is there any possibility like we can share this file with the participants? So there. So once this download is done, I can ask to launch this instance. So there, and is a new instance. This I will give as FDP. Right. So it is still getting initialized, and you can see somewhere there will be an IP address. So using this IP address or uh, this public before DNS link to connect to it. Now using this IP, I can connect using the same cookie, right? Uh, or if I want a Linux machine, what I need to do is, as I have uh, reached this file's location, the first thing I need to do is this, if it is Linux operating system, use the same PEM file, and I'll type something as ch chmod um, 400 FDP. So these are permissions need to be set whenever it is a key file for the server's connection. Uh, that's default. Okay. Once this is done, now what next we will be doing is connecting to server using SSH file. Ubuntu is the default username created by AWS. At the so here is the IP address. This is the IP address. Then next minus I is to give this to pass this file. Right. So it will ask you want to connect to the server. So I will say yes. That's it. So here you can see it is now Ubuntu @ some IP address. Here it is, you can see reason @ ThinkPad is this particular PC. So this is a from our local machine. I have connected to this cloud server, right? So in this cloud servers also, where we can run the same things which we have here executing on this local machine. Means I can set up HTTP server, Mqtt server, or multiple things can be done. Right now, so what next we can do is uh, so so what next thing we can do is we can set up a HTTP server where in this learning.wazenblog.com you can find a blog in servers. There is an HTTP server. Right. So basically here is my commands, a list of commands which are used to do different activities. So the first command you can observe is sudo apt-get update, which is used to update the repository from where the softwares are being loaded. Right. There, sorry, already we have connected. So here I'll just copy and paste those commands. So it is updating this repository. The what next activity is to install EIP. So here I'll check this is EIP, its additional library, which is Python package installer, uh, which in if is used to install libraries related to Python. As in Node, we'll be using npm package install npm. Similarly, we have pip in Python. Then we can install this Untitled Server. So this Untitled Server is a WCI server, that is Web Service Gateway Interface. So there are different web service gateway interfaces like a Django, Flask, Falcon, and many more things. So these all are Python-based servers. So even those things could also be covered, but um, we need to finish it in just one day, in almost 8 hours, right? So that's not possible. So it is just like even if you are willing to understand Django, you need at least 2 days. Uh, because it is an MVC based framework and many more things are involved in it. Just to make the things simple and understand how the things work, choosing this kind of software, sorry, this kind of server, where the first thing that you will be doing is that you can use pip to install this Unicorn server, or you can use apt-get. So this apt-get is something which is uh, operating system based. Uh, so it is operating specific command to install libraries, right? So pip is a generalized command which will be same in Python. Sorry, it is same in Windows, Linux, and Mac, right? It is a package installer where you need not to worry about the platform which you are working. So there is like if I am working on Windows, sorry, Ubuntu, I'll be using apt-get. Say if it is Fedora or something, then you will be using yum or some other commands, right? So this way, by from platform to platform, this command to install any packages or libraries will be varying. So to avoid those complications, they have commonly maintained a repository for Python libraries, and using PIP we can install all those libraries. Right. So first we should try this. First priority. So it is installed. Now what next thing we need is some additional things. So this Falcon is a library which will be used to uh, help Unicorn server how to handle the HTTP request. There is JSON library which may be or may not use. Right. Now here we have a sample code how exactly the server will work. Now here I will do is I will just create a new file. So first before that I'll just go to or I'll create mk, right, cd mk is directory where I'll say nano my http dot file. Right. Now first of all we shall just look into this simple get code. Right. So in the previous session we have seen some kind of definition of a function. So this is a function which takes self request response and parameters, and it sets some values to this request, response.status and response.body. This is the object which we are passing. If I am saying this is RESP, that's a variable, So in this RESP object whichever being assigned, there are few methods or some parameters which we will be setting from our code. Right. Now, this particular class, sorry, this particular function is inside the class named testing. Right. So, using this class object, your Gunicorn server will decide what response is to be sent when there is a request for rhythm in your browser. So consider if this is my so this is a Falcon library which I have uh, imported, and here is the Falcon's API object, means whatever um, URL request we were planning to build, so those can be added using this function, right? So in this app of sorry, API object which we have created as app, uh, we are calling few functions. So first one is add route. So this add route will just link your URL and its action. Means so if I am saying this is uh, testing class or something, I can even say, add a few more. Just first we shall finish this part once. There, what I'll do is I'll just save this while enter. Right, Python. For this execution, we don't use Python. We use Gunicorn. Gunicorn my HTTP colon app -p. So here my server is running. Right. So what it is saying that is listening to all IP addresses at port 8000. Right. Now inside this, what I need to do is I'll just need to type the IP address. This is my IP address. So here I'm typing. So the problem is it is not on port 80, so we need to specify 80 because this is 8000. Still there is the objection. Means by default your AWS service provider will set a firewall or which will restrict the in and out activities for different ports. So first we need to specify which port we are giving the access, right? So as our server is running on port 8000, so just what we need to do is if we scroll to right now, there you can see there is launch wizard file security group name. So by default, whenever you are creating a new uh, instance, there will be a security group inside it which will automatically get created. So in this, here is the security group. So after selecting the security group, it can change permissions to get into that server and get back. Here can add another rule. So by default, SSH is allowed. We just need to uh, we have given access to this. So here you can observe. Okay. So here we missed a flash radar. So this way it should respond to you. Namaste. Right. So just I'll do one thing. I'll just copy and paste this file into the window. So if you just click on it, you will be able to see response coming from our server. So it is accessible from anywhere. So your response you will be getting as Namaste. Right. Um, just 1 second. I'll just have some water. So till then you can just try to observe the things which you have done. Yeah. Sorry for that. Um, so this way we can just uh, install a simple HTTP server. Now we shall get back into the code what we have written. Right. So if I stop the server, here you can observe. So the first thing that we are doing is importing Falcon library. Right. Then in testing class, we have written a function definition, which is onGet method, right? So generally, whenever we are talking with related to a class, what we'll be doing is every method will be passed uh, a self keyword, which is similar to that this keyword in C++, and this request and response are managed by your Mqtt server. Now into this, uh, what exactly we are setting is the first one is response.status. So in this response.status, we are setting that response to should be okay as 200. So whenever you are observing something, so if I just press 12, so here you can see in this whenever there is a response, right? So by default, in the first request itself, you will be getting a status key that is 200. Now these are coming from our some Chrome's connections activity, but there is no response from our Rhythm server. This is the IP address which is trying to ping, and the response is failed, right? The connection is refused because we have stopped server, right? So once again, if I start the server, now it is running. So there you can see the status is 200 okay, right? So what happens is generally whenever we are say having some heavy images or some kind of loads on your server, the complete data may not come into a single packet. So initially what it sends is the status, then slow in different frames it will be sending in the heavy files or some content whatever the website is having, right? So just to make the browser understand that we have okay, some content which the URL which we have requested, and it will be sent soon in different packets. So there, the first thing which we will be sending is response as okay. Then the rest content will be coming. Now the response which we are giving here is which we are getting here is namaste, right? So if we look back into the code, so what we have written is right. So this was the status which was observed here, status, and the second parameter which we are passing is body, which will be visible in your browser page. So if I just hide this part, so here you can see the entire say page. I have just namaste. So say for this, what I can do to understand it better is I'll write something, right? So I have changed the response body. If I just refresh, okay, I need to start the server. So here the server is starting. So as you can see, it is the response coming from the Python code which we have just now executed by modifying the response body, right? Now, coming to this code, right? Then the third part, what you can see is the URL part. It's for which URL your Unicorn server need to use this class and give the response, right? So here we are adding, say if your URL is /Vedam, then you will be responding is from testing, right? So instead I'll say I have some other class where uh, this is, I'll say testing one. So on get, so here I will say this is second class. I have written two classes. I can add multiple routes. So if Vedam is a request, their testing is the class which will get executed, which is first. The response will be first class. There, say what I'll do is test one, right? So Vedam and test are two different strings you will be using in a browser, and the response, whatever we are writing, that can be written in this uh, class, and that class can be passed to this app underscore route function, right? I'm running this. Uh, so it is the thing coming from previous execution. Okay. So when I'm typing, this the response is the first class test, and if I'm writing it as Vedam, I think this is okay. Both are safe. Okay. So for both, we said to respond it from same class. This is second class. In this way, we can write multiple activities onto server, and whatever data we are sending on the server can be stored. Right now, this is okay. We are requesting for something which is present on the server. Now, we didn't observe what type of file handling activity can be done. Right. Generally, so consider if I have file nano test file dot txt, or I'll say CSV, right? That is comma separated values. So into this CSV file, so what I'll be doing is I'll just write some values uh, and say 12, then something. So these are few files. Generally, if I am writing a file handling code, I'll write nano file dot find thing, where I don't need to import anything. First, just I need to create an object of a file. File object is equal to open is a function which is used to open a file. Right there, what was the file name is test file.csv. So I'll pass this file name as first parameter, test file.csv. Right. So this is the file which we are willing to open. Right. But even after open, you need to specify what activity we will be doing into that file. Means whether we are trying to open that file for read activity, or for write activity or an append mode that need to be specified. So here we will specify that we are willing to use it as a read mode. So here I will to read, right. So just I'll do is select y enter python file.py. So, so we are reading that file. So in this, what next we will be doing is I'll take some val is equal to file j dot read line something which will read a single line. Okay, so no error. Then what next thing we need to do is uh, print whatever values we are reading. Val. So there you can see it is just reading you one single line. Until there is a slash n, it will keep on reading. Right. Else we can do is instead of read line, we just have another function that is read. These are all values which I have entered in the file previously before doing anything. So just what I'll do is I'll try to edit that. Test file.csv. Here I add a few more things. So here you can observe that we are reading the file and printing onto the terminal. Right. Similarly, we can write some content into that particular file. So just what I will be doing here is nano python file.py. So in this, instead of read mode, I'll just ask to open it as write mode. Right. Instead of read, I'll say write. Right. So write operation. I'll ask to write. So before running this code, I'll just show you what was the content in your file. Yeah. So this is the content previously before running your Python code. Right. So in this, I'll just say right activity is successful. Now if you just again open this test file. So there you can play with any data. So whatever might be the data, this file.py will overwrite it. And if you just again check the same file, you can see test write activity, right? So this way you can write something into your uh, file, right? But we just don't want to uh, overwrite the existing content. We want to just extend the existing whatever information in the file. So what we can do is nano this file.py, instead of write mode, we can open it in append mode. So if you are writing it n number of times, the same content will be pushed into this file, cat test file. So it is going into the same line. So what we can do, so this way we can do some kind of file handling activities. So same file handling activity can be integrated to the server which we have created. So there, so what we should do is, so actually we have appended the things, right? Nano just file.csv. So there you can see it is appending into the existing thing. There, what we shall do is, so this are the two lines which we need in our code. So I'll just review this part, and what I'll do is put these two activities here. So what we shall do is, instead of writing the same content, we should write very server running. The test is another thing. And even so it is personal. But how to observe that whether it is first class or not? So what thing we can do is open a CSV file and write some content to it, as well as so this we can say right, and we can open another file. File. Open. So here you can observe. So what we did were, say we are opening a file and we are saving some information into it, in appending in a sequence, right? There, second thing, we are opening some other file, and whatever the data which we are reading, that we are sending back to the one who has requested, right? So just 1 second. So here we can observe change the process. The data is coming from second file. Means it is reading the file. What I'll do is I'll just make another section. Uh, what was the IP address to which we are connecting? Search file at the address. I this is file. So here we have access ls cbmk ls, right? So here you can see this is left side one is the window which is server is running, and this right side window which you can see that is same directory where I can change this file's content. Nano second file.csv. So yes, there is some information. One, two, or some kind of thing. So I didn't change anything else. I have just changed this CSV file, right? And if I again go back to browser and refresh, there you can see data coming from second server and info 1, info 2, same way. So if I again add some data, and if I'm refreshing it, so that you can see this particular uh, request is going into that file and it is reading that file's content and giving you the response. Generally, most of the servers like Apache, Tomcat, or whatever servers we have, that will be like static web pages, whatever we have, will be reading such kind of files, and whatever the HTML or CSV code, whatever things we are writing, that will be giving a response, right? So even if you want, you can even write some kind of HTML code, right? So HTML button code, right? So here is HTML code, right? Instead of the whatever document we have created, uh, instead of CSV, we are writing HTML code, right? If it's asking, just click enter, right? So if I again refresh this page, here you are getting the HTML code. But um, the thing is, whatever we are sending from server, we didn't specify what type of data we are sending, right? So by default, it is considering this as a raw text, right? Hence, we didn't specify it is a HTML content. There, we may need to change the server code. So ls, so here we have again know my FDP. So in this, whatever response we are sending, yes, dot content type is equal to HTML. Okay, server is running and refresh it. Okay. So here you can see, as we said, that the content, whatever which we are sending from server, is of type HTML. We didn't change anything. Just we said that it is HTML content. So browser is showing it as a HTML button, right? Else it was considering it as a normal text, right? So it was showing it as a text format, right? So this is how generally a browser will work. So it's nothing a great thing. Whatever we are requesting, here we are asking for Vedam. So it was going into this class, some particular class. Where it is, okay, we should open it. my HTTP, right? So this is the class which it is going, and in that class it is going for onGet method because we are sending a get request, right? Now into this it is first sending the HTTP response status, it's okay, 200. Then it is reading the file, and it is uh, sending the response as an HTML content, right? So this way we can send whatever response we want as per our requirement, right? So this is not the actual thing which we were intending for to. What thing is, whenever we are writing some kind of say logging application, let's say if we are if you're putting some sensors in some any industry or somewhere, uh, what the thing you need is to store those information coming from the sensors, right? So for storing purpose, you can even use a database, or even file handling is also good thing, right? It's done in many cases, right? So whenever a data is coming from any kind of say sensor or some node, right? So that data need to be stored on into a file, right? So the files can be created as a monthly basis or daily basis as per the data which is getting generated, right? Now already we have written some code, no? Right? So what we are doing is, so the temporarily I'll do is I will just remove this, and here I will write simple text, let us save, right? Now you observe this three activities. So first thing, we are opening the file and we are storing some information in it, and we are closing, right? So instead of this, say if I want to store some specific information, consider I have a variable x, right? So this x, I want it, say consider if this x is 34 or something, right? And I want to do some kind of combination, say this plus x, and just concatenating a string of fashion app with x, right? So I have just saved this. So this server need to be updated. So whenever I am requesting, right? Okay, I think the server need to be restarted. What I'll do is restart the same server, and here if I refresh the browser, no server error. Uh, okay, string to int. Okay. Okay. So the server is running. Here it is coming responses, data saved, right? So where it is saved, it is saving into your first file, that is cat test file.csv. So here you can observe it is storing here 34, right? So once again, if I refresh here and if I check, it is again storing 34. Again refresh, here you can see. The same way it will be keeping on storing the information coming from your browser. Now still we didn't send any information, but we just consider the variable that is coming from your request, right? Right. So I'm stopping the server. What I'll do is again nano my HTTP. Now this X variable I'm setting it here. So instead what I'll do is I'll pass to this particular function which is getting executed. Now this I will say it as X, right? And here what I'll do is instead just rhythm I'll put a slash and I'll say this is in curly braces as X. So this is a variable data which I can use send it in browser, right? Say here this is a request which is passed to your function, and that whatever value is coming, that X is stored into your database. Or if I want, I can put another slash in here. Enter, right? For the same server I'm running. And so here you have server running. So what I can do here in browser is again just instead of typing slash pay them, I will be typing slash some value pay them slash 45. Right, so data is saved. So here I will observe into this file. So here you can see Spotify will be saved. So once again I'll do is I'll change this 45 to 76. Right. So this data is saved. Is the response. So here you can see this data 76 is being saved. Right. So this way we can send data into URL if it is not set that prior, or we can even send it by another method, that is something called as a post method, right? So for post we need to install Postman application. So you can also check by sending some information to this URL. This is accessible from anywhere. So in chat window I'll send this URL, right? So instead of 76 or something, you can just keep on changing this value. That can be anything, not an issue. So whenever you are say, typing into your browser, you can see those values are available here into this text file. Uh, so this way, our HTTP server will be working. In this, we also have HTTP post method. Once let me check whether my postman is working properly or not. Okay, this postman is working. The Postman is an application where we can send a request, HTTP request, in different formats, uh, uh, different ways, right? So in HTTP request, we have multiple methods: to get, post, put, patch, and delete many different methods. So in that, most often that we'll be using is get and post, right? So get is more often used to get the data from server. Means as we have written a code to get a HTML button, right? So whenever we are refreshing, we were getting a button here, right? So instead, we will be getting some other content, some images or something like that, right? So the same way, the post is a method which is used to send the information to server, right? So in post we have body, right? So in this body we have different format in which we can send the data to the server. So that can be a form data or a URL encoded format or a raw text content or raw JSON format in different ways, right? So there, what we can do is we shall just go back to browser and look into this code. There already a simple function related to post is written, right? So here I'll copy this, get back to the same code. So if I'm observing here as nano my HTTP, right? So into this, I'll just post, right? So temporarily, what I'll do is I'll comment out this. Right. So there, here we have this is the request, and this is the data, right? So whatever data we are sending, that is being received inside this body, right? Means we need not to type anything in URL or in browser. Uh, in the body, in the background, we will be sending the data, right? So temporarily, I'll even remove this X here, right? So what I'll do is just nano unexpected event. Well, better is the server is running. Now I'll be using Postman to connect to that server. So what was the IP I have shared you? So the same thing, same URL. I'll copy here. I'll paste it. I'm removing, and it's the text you can see. This is something which I'm sending in the body. Right. So a response is namaste, and here you can see their URL is not changing. So URL is as is constant, and here we have something in body. Right. So the same similar request can be sent from your Raspberry Pi when we are sensing some uh, data from any kind of sensor. So um, temporarily we shall take a break for 10 minutes. So after coming back, we shall again see these things related to post request in detail, right? If possible, we shall also cover MQTT server, right? So once all the servers are done, we can build, integrate all the things which we have learned in individual modules. Like we have seen, so it's connecting GPIOs to some sensors or uh, controlling some hardware. We have seen how to install a HTTP, launch a machine. We have seen how to run a HTTP server, which is based on Python, right? So all these things are very simple activities. Just the thing is, if you have time to do these things parallelly with me, it might be more better, right? But and that was not possible. So just have a look into it. What all things we have seen. Just observe the code which we have written. So till we get back, if you have any doubts related to this, we shall just repeat. So take a break for 10 minutes. I'll be back in 10 minutes.